Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. People say that read today, read tomorrow. And if you want to keep young, keep reading. And that, along with many hobbies, is one of my hobby. Other hobbies of mine include adventure, playing chess, playing badminton, and reading is part of it. So I have read 1,001 books, and for this session, I want us to talk about a few things that I have learned from a particular book, and I felt it is worthy for me to share because there are items of substance in that particular book. And if you also a reader, probably we can come together and challenge one another. How many books would you read in a month? That would be a good thing. Anyway, that aside, I don't know if you've come across a book called The Alchemist, written by Paulo Coelho. If you have not, it would be good if you just went and learned a few things from it. However, you're lucky because I'm here to teach you one or two things that I took from it. Now, this book gives a storyline of a boy, basically actually a shepherd, who was born in somewhere in Brazil. This guy was called Santiago, and he had a long journey. One day he had a dream, and his dream was about him meeting the good days, or rather meeting his treasure. And this dream reappeared in him severally. And one day he decided, I have dreamt about this severally. It is my time now to go and find my treasure. So he starts his journey, and along his way to now he dreamed that his treasure was somewhere in Egypt, and that is where the pyramids are. So that's where his dream was. And he started his journey, and being a shepherd, no resources, so some places he could use a camel, some places he could walk. It was a long journey indeed, and along his journey he met a few characters. I feel they are characters of importance. Along his journey he met a guy who was called Melchizedek. Melchizedek was the king of Salem, and he got something from him. Yeah, he gave Melchizedek his story and why he's traveling. Well, I think this guy Santiago, we share some common thing in adventure. He also loved adventure, so he didn't find it very hard to move from one place to another. And Melchizedek heard the whole story and the dream about Santiago, and what he said? He talked about something that is worth us hearing today. Personal legend. Do you ask yourself, what did he mean? What did Melchizedek, this character that was first met by the boy Santiago, saying personal legend mean? I also struggled, by the way, to understand that until I read a few more pages and I got to understand what exactly that meant. So when you talk about the personal legend, it is that thing, that dream, that treasure in you that you want to achieve in your life. And Melchizedek told him, when you want something, the whole universe will conspire to help you achieve it. And that is what we call the personal legend, your goal. And our boy Santiago was very encouraged by those words, and he continued with his journey. Along his journey, he met in a particular street. Actually, it was an oasis in a desert. He met a girl who was called Fatuma, and Fatuma was such a pretty girl in the eyes of our boy here, Santiago. And Santiago actually fell in love with Fatima. And of course, felt it worth to express his love towards Fatima. And Fatima was very excited about that. He was also in love with our boy Santiago. However, Santiago would not stay there at the oasis for so long. So he stayed there for a week. He enjoyed light moments with our beautiful girl, Fatima. But then at some point, Santiago needed to move on to find where his treasure is. And, now there he was, entangled between love and finding the treasure. And they had a discussion with Fatima. It is interesting what came up. So Fatima tells Santiago, you know what, your treasure matters more. And I would also appreciate if you go and get your treasure and come back, and then we love each other to eternity. something to learn there is again. In this second character, now in the first character, where we met Melchizedek, the king of Salem, we learned about the personal legend. In this second character, we learn about love, and love should not deny you from the treasures that you have, from the dreams that you have, but they should be there to support you to get to your dream. That's very amazing. So our boy Santiago, with those words, leads back Fatima with hope that when he comes back with his treasure, he'll be able to find Fatima and they'll still continue loving each other to eternity. So he takes up his journey and he meets some business person at some place. It was a mountainish like this, and this guy was selling some stuff, some flasks of a kite. And so now by this time, our boy was not doing well financially, so he decided to work at his kiosk for a few days. And this boy would give this businessman a few ideas. Let's try this. Meanwhile, this businessman had tried 1,001 things to raise his business, but nothing seemed to work. And now this young shepherd comes in and gives ideas. Well, one day, this man gives up, gives in, and says, okay, maybe we can try one of your ideas because they seem to be ideas of substance. So, and indeed, they try doing the kiosk, taking a few items down there because it was wherever the kiosk was somewhere up above the hill. So they do some adverts down there, and you know, this man was like, why would people come all the way? Because they've seen an advert there. And you know what? It worked magically. People loved hiking at that particular place. The hill was cool, but they never knew about this business up there. It is interesting how within a few days, this man was making some good money, and he really appreciated the shepherd for that. The shepherd, our boy Santiago, kept on giving many other case scenarios, many other ideas, which were working well for this young man, rather for the businessman. And I think this is now that character, yeah. So there's something else to learn there. That I think for me, this businessman was in a comfort zone. Like he would sell a flask or two in a day, and that was fine. Yeah, because he was able to sustain himself, and he felt like he was not able to do anything extra for his business to boom. But when someone came and shook him, vigor came out, and now when he started seeing the reality of the fact that, okay, I think we tried this, it worked. So now he started getting out of his comfort zone, and you can see at the end of the day, his business boomed. But at some point, of course, Santiago had in mind that, you know, the good thing is that, you know, the more the business built up, he got some more commission, and therefore he was able to get his amount to continue with the journey. And therefore he left the businessman behind and went to look for his treasure. We can see the determination with this boy, Santiago. Even after being in a place of getting higher commission, he still chases his dream. I think he would always remember about Melchizedek, the king of Salem. Personal legend, his dream, his treasure was in Egypt at the pyramids, so he had to go there. So once what we learn in now this that character is that you know, this great man has learned that being in a comfort zone is not the best, because the moment he got out of his comfort zone, his business now started flourishing in a big way. But then by the time our shepherd Santiago was leaving her, the business was doing very well. Very good lessons there. Okay, our boy continues with his journey. And along as he goes on with his journey, he meets with an elderly man, an old man. And this old man tells him that he is in search of a person called an alchemist. And this boy asks, you know, an alchemist, I believe, is the person who has knowledge about everything. And you know, this man tells him, yes, this is what I'm looking for. Then this boy tells the man that, well, for me, I had a dream, blah, blah, blah. You understand what we said earlier. And the dream was to get to the pyramids in Egypt and actually get his treasure right there. Oh, so here, there is a similarity of a goal. So these people move forward together. And at some point, the old man felt like he might not achieve, and he requested the young man to go, and if he gets treasure, he should come back and get the old man. So the young man, Santiago, with the determination that he had, he continued with his journey. And he met one very old man. I remember, and now during that expert there, what happened is that he met some guys, and these guys were not so good to him, so they beat him up. And an old man came to help him, and when he woke up, he got an old man, and the old man was asking him, "Yeah, poor boy, what's happening?" Oh, then he says, "These guys robbed me of my property and everything, and they beat me up." Then the old man asks Santiago, our shepherd boy, our young shepherd boy, "So what is it were you doing? Where were you going? What were you in search for?" And our poor boy now here awarded tells the old man the whole story, his journey. And the old man tells him, "I have a dream as well. And my dream is that my treasure is somewhere in a church that is not used anymore, and I need to go right there and find my treasure there." This boy was surprised, because where he left, that was the situation. So what did that mean to him? That his treasure was actually where he left. So what do we learn from that? That indeed, sometimes our treasures are just within us. That dream that you have in you, work it out. You don't need to go so far. You don't need to think so far. That dream, that passion, that hobby, work it out. That is where your treasure is. Hope you're encouraged. I was very encouraged, and we're going to continue learning from these novels. I'll be breaking down many novels, just for us to grow together, just for us to feel motivated and to get value for life. We were made for great destinies. All we need is not to work hard to get there. All we need to do is to know. 我的心躺着微弱相中，你给我感觉不同，夏天吹过的暖风，心已被你给触动，两颗心逐渐相融。你手下这个头现在藏在我身边，以为 OK， 明天还要见面，今天晚上你让我早点睡，你让我卑微，身体像是下坠，冰箱里还残存着你喷的香水。一先过后天让我哭了一年又一年，但是有你以后让我甜了一天又一天。白天是夜晚的绽放，如梦是再续的情缘。